Hey guys, my name's Ravi Sharma and I'm the founder and buyer's agent here at Search Property. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode of Search Property TV. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and of course drop me a like so the YouTube algorithm can share this video to the people that really need it. Now there's not many on YouTube that are talking about Australian real estate, so the most amazing thing that you could do for me is to really support the channel and support me in order to bring out more videos like this, is to share this video with someone that's close to you. Now, it could be a friend, it could be a cousin, it could be your partner. Something that you may not know is with personal finance, people keep it close to heart. So you actually don't know if they're in the process of trying to get a loan or they're trying to find their next investment property and they actually don't know where to start. And as always, if you want more than just videos, then definitely join me in our community that we've created so quickly, but also is such a tight-knit group of people. It's passive income and Australian real estate tips. It's a private group on Facebook, so I really urge you to drop down into the link in the description below and join me on the inside. Now let's dive into this video. Very excited about this one. It's the truth about property investors. I guarantee you're gonna learn something in this video. Now, in this video, we're really gonna talk about stats and the Australian landscape in terms of how many property investors are there out there. Now, if you're someone who's a property investor, you may actually want to know if you're maybe in the top 10% or if you're in the bottom 50%. And so I'm going to really cover that with the latest data that was available through the ATO and exactly what that means so that you can keep accountable knowing exactly where you fit in, not because you can compare, but because if you may think that you're doing so well with your finances, but actually realize you might be doing exactly what the others are doing, then you may need to get your head screwed on, get checked in, and start looking at 2021 to smash those financial goals. Now, before we continue, this is based on how many properties people hold. So it's not so much about the value of the property. It's not about just purchasing 100 different properties and say, yes, I've got 100 properties. It's not about that. It's about understanding that each property has to have a purpose in your strategy. Now, of course, I'd love to have you on a strategy session. I'm not sure when you're watching this, but we're completely booked out for the next 8 weeks. So if you do want to get on a strategy session, you need to get on a priority list, which is now 50 other people on there. So if you want, drop me an email down below. You'll find that, ravi@searchpropertyau.com.au, and you can reach out to me there. And that's when we can organize another session one-to-one and I can really point you in the right direction. Now, when it comes to the property with the right purpose for you, that could mean a $200,000 property or it could be a $1 million property. It really depends on your financial situation and where your goals are at the end of the day. So take this with a grain of salt. However, the way I invest and the way I get my clients to invest is at the end of the day, you want each property to serve a purpose, right? You want to create wealth through property. So why not do quality and quantity? I'm not just looking at, hey, let's invest somewhere and get really good cash flow, or let's just invest somewhere and get hope that we're going to get really good capital growth. I'm looking at areas which fundamentals are so important, where we've got certainty with good cash flow and rental growth, as well as capital growth. I brought out a video recently on YouTube, which you should definitely check out. There should be a card that pops up here, and it's about capital growth versus rental growth. You really need to understand the difference and how both together will really allow you to get financial independence through property. So here's a quick summary according to CoreLogic. There are 10.5 million dwellings in Australia with a total value of 7.1 trillion. There is a total of 1.85 trillion in outstanding mortgage debt, and 52.5% of Australian household wealth is held in housing. Wow, 52.5% of Australian wealth is tied in with Australian housing. So when I was talking 6 months ago saying, hey, you know what, the government can't allow for housing to just collapse, they will put the stimulus and support in place to hold up housing, it's because of this. 52% of Australians have their wealth there. So if suddenly they don't support the industry and 30% gets wiped out, well, you can only imagine the catastrophe that is going to cause in the Australian economy. Hence why they brought out so many support schemes and systems to really uphold those values. And this is the exact reason why in 2021, we are going to have the best buying opportunity ever. And there is so much support, so much demand, and of course the bank, the RBA, cutting rates continuously. We are primed for such amazing growth. But let's continue. So there are just above 2.2 million property investors in Australia. This means around 20% of Australian households hold an investment property and 80% don't. The top investor age groups are 27% are aged 60 or more, 31% are aged between 50 and 59, 24% are aged between 40 and 49, 14% are aged between 30 and 39, and here's my favorite, just 1.63% are younger than 30. Wow, like the 1%. So if you're aged under 30 and you have a property, well done. You're the 1% of the 1%. This is incredible. And you know what? It's quite sad, to be honest, because one, that the people that actually bought property under 30, they've actually held their property over the long term. Now, not everyone does, but that's why you have these numbers skewed towards the older generation. Now, the other thing it also suggests is that not enough people are taking financial literacy seriously. We didn't get taught at school. Wow, okay. We went to uni. They didn't teach us there either. Now I'm into a job where I work 9 to 5 doing something so specific. Now I'm not going to learn how to buy property. Guys, it's about accountability. Take accountability and stop blaming people. It's pretty damn serious. Like, it's so logical when you think about it that why should someone else teach you about your own finances? Isn't that important to you? Go figure it out yourself. Now, I'm not saying that to you directly. You might be here already trying to do that in the process of doing it. So if you know someone that can really benefit from this sort of content and real talk, you don't need some fluff, then definitely share this video with them, because it's going to blow your mind as to what could possibly happen when you make those moves early on in your life. Now, I've got a video about investing in your 20s versus your 40s, and it's definitely something that opened up my eyes even when I did the numbers. Now, I'm 28 now, and of course, I've invested quite heavily into real estate. I've tasted what shares look like. I've tasted what cryptocurrency looks like, and I've also tasted what collectibles look like. So it's really about understanding what works for you, what do you like, and what passions you have, but also taking accountability to learn for yourself. How many properties investors hold? Now, one investment property is 71%. Okay, let's just take a pause here. That means 71% of the people that have actually invested only hold one property. 71%. You know why this is? It's because we have been taught that, hey, we should buy an investment property because that's the next logical thing to do. Let's just follow the herd mentality, which is, hey, I go to school and get good grades, and then I'll go to uni and, rack up a HEX bill, and then get a job, and then work for a couple of years, get married, have kids, maybe get a house, but I should invest. I should definitely invest. Okay, cool. Where should I invest? I'll buy one property. Yeah, okay, that's enough. I'm done. Thanks. I've checked off all the boxes. I'm done. Everything's amazing. I've done everything I could possibly do. And now I'm just saving my money, paying down my debt. Now, do you really think one property is going to make you wealthy? Maybe you don't want to be wealthy. Okay, great. So maybe you want to have a comfortable retirement. Do you think one property that has a rent of what, say, $500 a week is really going to mean financial freedom for you? No, it's not. Like, let's be real here. You need to have a set amount of properties that are doing something in your portfolio. Each property has a purpose, and it's not about how many, but if you can diversify your risk, then I would definitely be taking that option up, especially if you can maintain that positive cash flow in your portfolio. 2 investment properties, 19%, 3 investment properties, 6%, 4 investment properties, only 2%, 5 investment properties, 1%, and 6 or more investment properties is less than 1%. Guys, this number blows my mind. Less than 20,000 people in Australia have more than 6 properties. Now, I would be very interested to know how many of those are actually under the age of 40. I don't think there's many. So the reason I bring this up is because this is the real landscape of property investors in Australia. Why it's important is because you need to understand that this is not something that everyone does. And if not everyone does it, but yet you go to your social circle or you go to your family and think they could assist or support you in this mindset or this thinking, you might be disappointed. It's concepts like, hey, investing in regional areas or investing in areas that you are not familiar with using a buyer's agent, or you sit there on YouTube watching 20 or 30-minute videos, which I really appreciate, but I get value from that. People around you may not understand that. And that's something that, again, I say is that you need to take accountability, because just because that social group or the people you hang out with don't talk about this stuff and encourage this behavior doesn't mean there aren't people out there. I've got a Facebook group with a community which I've built over the period of a month and is already over 700 people. You should definitely join the private Facebook group if you want the support. Now, on this channel, I'm trying to bring out videos every single week, 3 to 5 times a week. The only thing I ask you in terms of support is watch the videos all the way through, because it's so much value for you. But 2, drop a like and share it with someone. I think you'll be astounded to know that there are other people sitting here secretly watching these videos as well, and they've messaged me and you don't know that they're your friend or your brother or your cousin. So definitely share it and start having these more positive conversations. When it comes to property investing and building a portfolio, some people actually come back and say, look, I want to own 10 investment properties. This should give you some sort of understanding and some context around where Australia is. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's not achievable. What I'm saying is we need to take things into context. What we will see moving forward is this number is going to continuously fall. I think in 3 to 5 years, we're going to have such restrictions come back into the government and into play with lending restrictions and what we're able to borrow, that we're not going to be able to build portfolios of 6+ properties. Now, we've already done the numbers before. If you can't get to 6 or more, or you may only get to 2 or 3 properties, that doesn't mean financial freedom. And that means you're gonna work for 45 years minimum, pay off the house you live in, have a family, and then have to rely on the government to fund your retirement. That doesn't really sound interesting or attractive to me. And if you're here, that probably doesn't sound attractive to you either. So it's now about executing. You're consuming the content, now it's about executing, guys. Now, the last thing I want you to know is this stat also blows my mind, where actually 60%, yes, 60% of property investors are negatively geared. It's the real old school way of actually investing in real estate in Australia. And it was that, hey, you know what, negatively geared is fine. I get to save some money on tax. And of course, this is changing every day with bank rates being low and getting lower and lower and lower. A lot of these properties will now turn positive. However, it's just fundamentally wrong when you look at, hey, I'm gonna hold 4 or 5 properties that cost me $500 or $600 each to just hold in my portfolio. That doesn't give you choice. Now, I'm not saying just because they're negatively geared properties, they're not good. I'm saying you need a balance of both. I've got numerous videos talking about cash flow and capital growth and how you can actually achieve both. The people that tell you, no, you can't, you need to either choose capital growth or you need to choose cash flow, they just don't know enough. They only know the markets they know. And of course, you, before you came onto this channel, may have also only known specific things. But over time, you've increased your knowledge bank as well. So for them, they may not want to learn about those things. And for me, I've always been like a sponge trying to learn everything. So I spend so much time learning about the UK markets, the US markets, and of course the Australian real estate market. But there's not many on YouTube that actually talk about this stuff. So that's why it's good to support channels like myself on here, and definitely, you know, if you do get some value out of it, then definitely do share it. I mean, it makes sense, right? But that's the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It just gives you so much clarity and context around what everyone else is doing, not because, hey, we want to compare ourselves, but in essence, trying to understand that so many are fundamentally stuck in the old system of accumulating property and thinking real estate as a real wealth driver. If you look at the top 10 richest people in the world, a large majority of their wealth is stored in real estate. That's not by coincidence, because it makes sense. It's such a basic need of shelter that really underpins that asset class of real estate. So when you understand that the 1% of the 1% is actually going out there and earning and being accountable, it really revs me up to go, I want to do more. And that's why I put out these videos, not so that you can just come across and be like, yeah, I want to use your buyer's agency service. No, it would be amazing if you did. However, if you just take away all the information from these videos and you go out there and execute on your own, you could still send me an email and say, hey, I watched your videos, I went there and I purchased a property. I would feel amazing about that because unfortunately I can't get to everyone and we're so backtracked with so many clients wanting our service. Sometimes it's not always possible. So instead of just consuming, I want you to start executing. If you need my help, you can email me. I get around to everyone's emails. And of course, if you have a quick question or some video that you really want to see and you have some questions that you really want answered, definitely drop me a comment down below. I'm looking at that every 2 to 3 hours, so I will definitely respond. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys.